I just watched Digital Foundry's review of Death Stranding 2, and it was incredible. I'm going to reference some points in this video, but I'm going to leave a link in the description so you can actually watch it yourself. I'm muting it because I don't want to take someone else's content. I really just wanted to talk about the original Death Stranding, really, and how great I think Death Stranding is, to the point where I've said in the past that the price of video games is just getting ridiculous. I've even started collecting PS3, older generation consoles. I see the investment more there. Like the amount of games you can have for the price of one nowadays is crazy. And games are not necessarily progressing. You know, they're not much better or any better than what was existing in the past. Just graphically superior. But the amount of games I can have, and I can have it's like bringing the past back to the present, and essentially have a permanent piece of history. I think that's just better than just buying one game. That's my opinion. There are emulators as well, so there's alternatives. But when I say, like, for me, £70 is a lot of money for a video game, £80 is a joke, you know, I'm not going near that. But I always say there's exceptions to the rules. Like, if a new Last of Us comes out, okay, I'm getting that. If Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out at £100, okay, I'm getting that. Because these are generational games. These are games that just define an incredible period of gaming, and they're set apart from everything else, you know. And for me personally, Death Stranding is also in that category. It's quite divisive, isn't it? Death Stranding. Some people don't like it. Some people love it. I'm in the category where I absolutely love it. People consider it a walking simulator. They don't get it. They just see you as like a FedEx or Amazon, you know. And it's like they miss everything that makes Death Stranding beautiful. It's that isolation, that freedom, that loneliness. It creates a narrative in itself. Just the actual atmosphere of it. You don't even need a story, even though there is a story. You don't even need that. You become the story yourself. You're literally like a lone wolf, just going about traversing this world and trying just to survive and make a difference. And then you encounter just random things along the way. And it's quite, not only is it isolating, it's very survival. So, you know, you never know when the circumstances come up, and your vehicle breaks down, you've got to carry your heavy load. It makes it hard because, you know, it makes you slow down completely. With this game, you've got to constantly sort of like distribute the weight. So if you put too much weight one side, you start leaning and falling over. You have to go across obviously rocks, but then you've got water. There's damage because you get the acid rain. There's so many things that can make it difficult. And yeah, it takes a long time to get from one place to the other. And again, you get upgrades along the way, you get some vehicles, but that's what makes it beautiful, though. I think a lot of the time in like games, it's when you get to destination, you have an epic boss fight, or you have an epic this and epic that. That's what defines the game, you know. That's what you want. You want those moments. For me, with Death Stranding, it's the journey. It's the journey to get there is what's actually beautiful. And I don't ever feel like when I'm playing the original that it's a slog. I'm just recognizing the growth, the advancements, and when you get something new, like later on you get vehicles and things, it's like, oh wow, this makes it a lot easier to go from there to there rather than keep back and forth in so monotonously, because it can grind a little bit after a while, like when you've got such a distance to traverse. But the challenges make it what it is, though, you know. So the items can get damaged, that you can actually lose the items, especially if you encounter some sort of like attack, and you've got to try and you're trying to escape, and all of a sudden you fumble everything over. Everything adds value. We need the currency so we can do the upgrades and things. And the deliveries, it's like, I don't know. It depends what you want from gaming, really. But like I say, for me, it's rare that I'd want to invest so heavily in one game, and yet Death Stranding 2 is one I desperately want to get. But I still need to absolutely finish the PC version, because I never actually finished Death Stranding. As much as I love it, I got distracted by some other games as well. I got really heavy into it, though. I'm not sure where I am. I think I'm really near the end. I'm really near the end. So I'm going to invest the rest of the time to finish it. So put into perspective, I just want to show the sort of games I like my top 10. It's not even top 10. I think it's like top 12, 13. I couldn't confine it to 10. I think anyone that tries to come up for top 5, top 10, you'll find it really hard. There's always going to be something you're missing. But I think what's interesting when you go down that path, you realise there's a similarity between the games, the concepts, and the way they are. And I think when you get them and you amalgamate it, it makes it quite evident why you like it. So, like, for instance, I'll show mine now, and this does miss one out. I just forgot about Grand Theft Auto 5 because I haven't played it in a while. You forget, some games you forget, you know, so that's not on my list, but it should be on my list. I'm not going to go and add it now, it's too late. to mess about. Well, it ain't really. I could probably add it in now. Let's just add it in if I can find it. Now, again, this is the PC based. Again, if I had Nintendo, for instance, I'd be thinking of Nintendo. It's going to be depending on the platform. I can't show Nintendo games here per se. And let's get, like I say, so I think it's hard to make a top 10 of anything, to be totally honest. Let's do the enhancement, shall we? Top 10. Right, now we got it in there. Nice one. So we'll scroll up so you can see above my head. We just do have to do it like that. So my top 10, although it's not a top 10, it says 14. Top 14 then. Alan Wake. Originally played that on Xbox 360. Fell in love with it immensely. Like, I'm a writer myself, so I like there's that side to it. I like the atmosphere, the horrific side of it. It was just very different and dark and sinister. But there's the story, it flows through. Very original in its concept, which is what I think Remedy Studios is known for. Yeah, for me, Alan Wake, it's just incredible. I recently got the Enhanced Edition on the PS5, so I'm looking forward to playing through that again. I did try Alan Wake 2. It's very different. You become a detective and all sorts. I was enjoying it to a point, but it just... Sometimes I was at a loss of what I'm supposed to do next. It wasn't always as straightforward, whereas Alan Wake always moved forward. So I think, even no matter how good the second one maybe turns out to be, I think Alan Wake, the first one... Then you've got I can't remember what it's called now. There was like a secret like addition to it, and I've got that as well somewhere. But anyway, then we got Cyberpunk 2077. I completed these. I think for the most part I've completed all these. If I actually just look briefly, just haven't quite finished Death Stranding and Hogwarts Legacy. I still need to finish, and I need to finish Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. But I've seen enough of them that I think they're incredible. So I recently finished Days Gone on PS5. I got the remastered edition. I think it's remastered. And for me, that's one of my favourite games. A lot of these games people sleep on. I don't think they realise how good they are. I'm a massive fan of Last of Us. That was my favourite game when it released on PS3. It was my favourite game. I've even got it on PS3. I've got the PS5 version. I've got the PS4 version. I've got the PC version. I'm Death Stranding, Last of Us. But for me, Days Gone is more of an open world. It's like an open world. It's an amalgamation of Last of Us, in my opinion, because you've still got like freakers or zombies, whatever you want to call them. They've got their own terms for it. And they're very different in their concept, of course, but it's similar. So I like that, and I like the fact it's open world, so it gives you more replayability. You can spend more time in the universe. And the map expands. Okay, there's a lot of back and forth and things like that, but there's an incredible feeling of survival. And I guess from my point of view there, maybe it feels like that to me. Maybe it feels a bit like Death Stranding and The Last of Us. And you get a motorbike, and it's like pretty cool. And I just think it's badass. Like I love Days Gone. And again, if someone's sleeping on that, I think you're missing a trick with that. And like I say, I got Death Stranding, fell in love with it. I think it's brilliant. I was tempted not to put any driving related games because I think story narrative is more poignant, but at the same time, it's like, what do I play a lot or what do I really love? Like, this is going to be my love list. It's like a love letter to gaming, if you like. But again, it's missing the other platforms. Some cross-platform helps here with The Last of Us and things. Euro Truck Simulator 2, I absolutely love it. It's incredible. You've got American Truck Simulator as well. Anyone knows anything about these, you'll know they're immersive as hell. It opens up pretty much an entire continent of driving, and it's just the details mad. It's just brilliant, especially if you've got the wheel like I've got. Forza Horizon 4, for me, that's, as I'm British, that's going to stand the test of time. It just opens up. I think it's mainly like Northern England plus Scotland, and the way it's portrayed, I just think it's the best Forza Horizon of the lot, and I don't think it'll be topped. It's timeless. I have it here on Steam. I have it on Xbox digitally. I also have the disc as well because I wanted to have a piece of history. So for me, Forza Horizon 4 is brilliant. Grand Theft Auto 5, I think, speaks for itself. Best Grand Theft Auto in the series. It's just completely generational leap from everything that happened before. And I think it's easy to sleep on it once you've completed it. But then when I think back to the memories and things, the moments that happened in it, it was great. I don't play the online. It gets a bit toxic of a community, I think, personally. But the story, brilliant. I've actually completed it twice. I've completed that twice. So, yeah, it's silly of me to miss it. Halo here I've put because Halo 3 multiplayer, back when Xbox 360 first came out and things, I played so much Halo 3 multiplayer. That will always be in my top list of multiplayer. And I remember the campaign. There was a certain part that was complicated in that, but I enjoyed it. Hogwarts Legacy, I think Harry Potter was not to like. I think, yeah, some people, I think a lot of people love it, but I think a lot of people sleep on how good it is. how well it's done at giving us the Harry Potter universe. I think it's great. I haven't finished it. I keep dipping between the different platforms. I've had an Xbox Series X, so I started playing there. I've got the PC, then the PS5, and it's like, I've committed to the PC. I'm quite away in. I think I'm about halfway through, so I've done quite well with that. Horizon Zero Dawn I completed. I've also completed Forbidden West. I can't decide between the two, which I prefer. I like the fact that Horizon Zero Dawn had unlimited traps. You literally could just, like, when you get later in the game and you get powerful sort of robot dinosaur things, the things to attack you. You could set so many traps and they wouldn't even get to you. And then in Forbidden West, I think limited it to 5 or so traps. I can't remember. And I thought, this is more tactical. But anyway, I can't decide which one I prefer. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, yeah, that was that's groundbreaking when it first came out. It just sent you to the medieval period of life, like the world. It was different to everything else that exists. I got a bit stuck on a certain level, to be totally honest. That's why I've stopped playing it. I couldn't get past this area. I had to go to this tunnel or somewhere, and this incredibly armored person was there, and I just can't beat his armor, and my save point is there, so I'm stuck constantly trying to run away and getting attacked. But that is brilliant. It's Kingdom Come Deliverance. I think everyone knows Last of Us now, especially with the TV series, but yeah. I still got to complete the second one on PS5. I've never got around to finishing it, but the first I fell in love with. Red Dead Redemption 2 is here, but I love, like, graphically it's great and the story's great, but the fact that it's in chapters puts me off in terms of saying it's my favourite Red Dead. I prefer the first one. I love the first one, and I have that on Xbox 360 and I have it on PC. Oh, no, I don't have it on PC because I've got an Xbox 360 version and I've also got it on the PS5. It's the PS4 version, but it's 60 FPS. Anyway, I love the first Red Dead Redemption, but the Red Dead Redemption 2 is pretty cool too. Uncharted here, I like Uncharted 4. Uncharted 4. Like, I love all the Uncharted's, completed all of them. Even the extended things, like this one here includes the Lost Legacy. It was like a DLC, I think. And I completed that on PS5, I think it was, or PS4 Pro. But either way, Uncharted 4 is a cinematic masterpiece. That is great. So anyway, they're my favourite games. Now, if we go further down, I've gone top 5. So let's turn that into your top 5. Like, what is my absolute top 5 gaming here? Like, obviously, it doesn't include Nintendo and any other exclusives that I don't have here to showcase. But off the top of my head, I'm thinking this is it anyway. Alan Wake, I was just explained. Days Gone, Death Stranding, The Last of Us, and Red Dead Redemption. And what they all have in common is, if you look at them, they all have incredible, like, this story narrative, and almost like a lone survivor as well. Red Dead Redemption, not so much at times because they integrate, but he is still his own person, especially the first one. And I think that's what that is. It gives this story narrative, lone survivor, almost apocalyptic world for the most part of all of them. I mean, Alan Wake's more, it's in a writer's head, so it's like a nightmare. It's just the story coming to life, really. But there's that. Days Gone is an infestation thing that's happened, like the world's come to an end almost. It's survival modes. You've literally got these freaks you've got to try and eradicate, really. Hordes of freaks, which are like zombie-ish invasion, really. But then you've also got other camps, settlements that are either they've got jobs for you or they're enemies, and it's a very dangerous world. Death Stranding, it is apocalyptic, but it's more like it's hard to explain it. It's more sci-fi, but you're trying to navigate a world that's extreme. It's very isolated, very desolate, but then there's obviously hazards along the way, and it's a very slower pace than all the others, but it's that slower pace that makes it feel more captivating. It slows it down to the point now you're the character. You're the one traversing this. And I think if you play it like that, if you treat Death Stranding like a simulator rather than an action game, I think you fall in love with it. In the same way, The Last of Us, you can't just rush through. Although I've seen some people rush through Last of Us, but anyway, for the most part, if you're playing it as you should, you'd be playing it at a slower pace, making the best decisions because you're in survival mode. So you're trying to get from A to B. But that's more of a story narrative where you certain checkpoints to get through, so similar to Alan Wake. And then Red Dead Redemption is open world, wilderness, Wild West. Anyway, they're my favourite. There's others I could pick, of course, if you look scrolling down. I've got a massive library of games. I never completely got into Elden Ring. It's not 100% my vibe. I like it sometimes. Sometimes it's a bit heavy. Ghost of Tsushima, but then I start going down the Assassin's Creed route. It's like I don't know which one I prefer. These are games I like, but are they my favorite games ever? That's the question. Anyway, this is completely deviated. I just did all that just to explain why I like Death Stranding. So let's go back over to Death Stranding 2, and immediately it became a bit more like there was a lot of growth, a lot of vegetation in the first one. This becomes more, I think, more desolate, extreme conditions. But then I've seen watching the video, you see it becomes more. There are vegetation. There are so many. What's great about this one, the second one that I'm seeing, is that there's more places to visit. Whereas before, the scenery didn't entirely change. You might get to a new section and the set pieces have changed. Maybe there's a big bridge you've got to try to reconnect, and there'll be like cutscenes and things like that to progress the story. And there might be a bit more dangers here and there. But the scenery didn't change vastly from one section to the other. Whereas with this, you've literally got weather changes, like severe weather changes, where you've got like sandstorms and all sorts of things. There's fire. There's it just looks like there's a natural progression here. I think that's all great. So I'm just gonna go for it, just very brief, because again, I'm gonna put a link. But again, this is one of those where I am prepared to pay the full price for it. So if it's 70 quid, I'm paying the 70 quid. I want it. Unfortunately, I got a PS5 to play it because I like PC because I get the ultra wide, which is why you see in the bars now. So I can play Death Stranding with the ultra wide, but Death Stranding 2, I'm going to have to get on PS5, play it on the TV. Again, these are all very similar to the original Death Stranding, where you'd go somewhere like that location, you drop off your goods, and you get your new task to go and traverse. And then it's figuring your way, the safest way to get there, the most efficient way to get there, and try to deliver without losing cargo, really. And can you even survive getting there? It's all survival, It's great. And here we see different things. We had vehicles in the first one as well. And they ranged in how much goods you could do, how fast it goes, how big the battery capacity is, and it all matters. So this says it's disconnected from the chiral network, which means you can't build things and stuff, and it limits your ability to recover if you lose if your truck dies or something. I think it also affects your ability to know where enemies are or where new buildings are and things. But apparently, there's a lot more action themes to it. So you might come across more factions, and you can do stealth takedowns. You have more armor, like weapons, to your character. And this was really just showcasing the cinematics, how great the cinematics are, which really does add a level of immersion. And again, it's one of those set pieces, where they were comparing it to Metal Gear Solid because it's I can't remember what his name is now, but he created the Metal Gear Solid series. So there's a level that was very stealth related. So graphically, it's great. But I thought the first one was great anyway, so it's hard to say. Like, you could nitpick apart anything, and that's what this channel does. But to be honest, they went on an incredible review of the game, and it just made you fall in love with it, But, I think when you take away all the any nitpicking you see on some of the channels, you play the game, you're not going, oh, well, that could be better. You're just enjoying it, So you can always look at the PS5 Pro, for instance, and go, oh, the graphics are so much better. You play it on the PS5, I'm sure it's going to look incredible anyway, so the fine-tune doesn't matter. You do see lighting like this on some games. I think like Destiny, for instance, Destiny 2, I noticed it had nice lighting like that on certain areas. But with the wind going across, the sand, you can see the sand blowing, so it's the particles. That looks great. This is the original one, so they're showing this is what it would look. This is what it looked like. It is, and you see the vegetation, but now how dry and arid it is. But if you actually look at it, it doesn't make it any less interesting, does it? You'd think that'd be boring and bland, but it didn't look boring and bland at all to me. I just want to jump into this game now, but I've still got to finish the first one. Just get that wrapped up. Probably take me a few weeks. Take me a couple of weeks, I think, to get through Death Stranding just to wrap it up, and then I can jump it, and then I can try and get this myself. And you'll definitely lose a few hours. I'm guessing it's about 60 hours of gameplay there. I'm guessing. See, Horizon Zero Dawn, one of my favorite games, and that's far more action. There's a deep story narrative. There's always something going on. This is more like you're in your own little world. I don't know why people don't like that, because I think it's quite beautiful. Because everything's a challenge. Even just getting down that crevice here, like trying to get around. You've depending on how much weight you've got hold it on your back, you know, it makes you just think you're walking. You've got to distribute the weight. You'll end up falling off. You fall down. You could lose half your stuff down the freaking mountain. It's all about finding the most efficient route because you would naturally. You know, in a video game, you naturally just like if you want to play Assassin's Creed, you just climb up like you're freaking invincible. You know, in real life, you'd have to find ways that it's not going to hurt your feet. You're not going to lose stability, and that's what it's about. Literally living and breathing the world. This is what I liked. This sandstorm stuff. It's like, whoa, this is cool. And what good is the AI react to it as well? So it changes their ability to see you. The visibility is diminished. So you can use that to your benefit. I thought, oh, that's nice touch. And we had the water in the first one. And that affects things. Of course, the current, the speed of the current, how deep the water is. You have to sort of decide, are you going to risk going through it? Where's the best part to go across, the safest route? Or are you going to put a bridge across? You're just going to put some ladders to make it a little easier. It's all a process, you know, all analytical and tactical. But I think it's one of those, like, you get the new one, finish it, and it's not like the first one's not any good, you know. It's just you got enhancements with the newest one. But like me going and playing the first one while most people are playing the second one, I'm not going to feel like I've got a bad experience. It's still got a whole story to finish. But yeah, I'm quite away from it, though. I was just finishing up building this roadway. I'm pretty sure I'm close to finishing, and I think I'm ready to get almost ready to go on to the next phase. And when I looked up how many chapters, it wasn't many. And then I'll be ready to jump into this one as well. And then I guess when you finish this one, you can go back and play the other one. And I'm waiting for Days Gone 2. I bet a lot of people are as well. Days Gone, my God, that game's good. I fell in love with that. I think I finished on about 40 hours, 45 hours, and I've already amassed over 60. I just kept playing it again. I was just doing all the little bits, finishing off little bits that you don't necessarily have to. The main game's finished. But I was like, I love this world. I don't want to leave. And it's the same really with this. So yeah, they were just showing me more the shadows, really, the shadow effects, the lighting, which is pretty cool. Dynamic weather, that's going to be pretty cool to watch some. This was really good. There was something they showed. I think it's here. Oh, we're going to miss it. Oh, God. The stepping back thing don't work properly. They were showing this before it does it. This is what's great about this one. So you've got dry, arid areas, and you just look at it and just think that's just a normal way to walk. You know, you don't think anything of it. When the rain comes down, it creates these flash floods, and it's like, what? That's pretty mad. So that means it'll dry up on its own when obviously the weather clears up. It'll naturally just start to dissipate. But when the weather gets bad, you will see the effect in your terrain. So that makes everything dynamic. Like, wait a minute, I've been here before and I went across there. Wait a minute, how am I going to get across now? What's this? How am I getting across? If you look over there, I can see it now. If you actually look here to the left above my head, I can't zoom in. It doesn't allow that. But you've got these two rocks here. So I would naturally feel like maybe you'd walk around there, go there, put a ladder across. I think that's your answer. And then you can get across. Where he's standing here, you definitely ain't getting across that. Unless there's a bridge point where you can build the bridge, but it's not showing any connections that I could see. There'd normally be a pillar box. But at least in the first one there was. And you'd know that's where you can put bridges and things. I can't remember if that changed, actually. I think that might be the set piece ones. I'm pretty sure you could build a bridge wherever you wanted in the end, actually. Pretty sure I did. Can't remember. But yeah, anyway, that over there would be the answer to that problem. But again, that's what you've got to do. Strategic thinking. It's not fast paced. Forget the fast paced. Break it down and start to enjoy the strategy of it all. Again, there'll be going to be slower bits. There's going to be slower areas. You could argue there, but there's a shorter section right here at the top. And you'd naturally be able to do your scanner and it'll show you where the shallower sections are, where the heavier water flow is. Yeah, anyway, I think that's pretty cool that it does this flash flood. But the fact that you get the dynamic weather, I think this is great. It's like, that's really what you want to jump into because you just know it's a new experience because of it, you know? But ultimately, it's still going to be a similar gameplay, isn't it, to the first one? So I don't think you're necessarily losing. I think some people will naturally jump on the hype train. So I think you've got to be careful of that. If you didn't like the first one, I can't see you liking the second one. But if you've never played it before, there's no harm in going. The first one's going to be cheaper, of course. I wouldn't think it really matters what one you play first. Just trying to see if there's anything else to show. They did mention that it's easy to get away from the BT, so that's a really dangerous enemy. So it sometimes got really frustrating. Imagine like you've put so much effort into traversing, you're like not far away, or you're away for you're at a distance from somewhere where you consider safe, and then you just start getting attacked. It's like, oh, for crying out loud! You know, the last thing I want to do is lose my progress, and it's took long enough to get here, and that becomes a challenge. So some people like it for the combat. I think the challenge of that. Some people like it for the story. Some people like it for the immersion of just traversing and things. I like a mixture of everything, but overall, I do like the wandering. You know, so sometimes I'm just in my own little bubble, and then when something's bothering, like it's like, oh, for crying out loud. I was enjoying myself, and you just took buzzkill. But yeah, I will put a link to the video. And again, this is it. Like, look at the state of this. You can auto configure, and the game will naturally just put everything as best it can, but not always exactly right. Whereas you can actually go into the settings and change where you distribute. So you can start putting some things to the sides here to make it a bit less heavy on top. Because at the moment he's unstable as shit. If he trips over a rock, he's going to go heavy forward. It's more like he's going to keep tumbling. But if you can distribute it, make it a bit more compact, he's going to have more. He's going to have more control. But yeah, this was interesting because he showed this. What he showed here was his vehicle broke down. He had no battery left, and he was outside the chiral network. So once you go outside the chiral network, you can't build. So you can't build like a charging station or something. And his vehicle broke down, which was a bit silly because it wasn't. He hadn't gone far across. Why didn't he just build it before he got there? Anyway. And then he had to take everything off that he needed for the mission and walk the slow pace because once you're encumbered, you can't walk very fast at all. Like it's a trudge. You know, me personally, if it's a long distance, I don't think I would have had the patience to walk that far, that slow. I'd have probably just left everything in the truck and then tried to figure out how far away. I mean, obviously got decision to make. How far is it here? How far is it there? Because you can go faster without stuff on you, it make more sense if it's not incredible distance to run back to your depot and buy a new vehicle and then drive to that location and then swap out the stuff from the vehicle to your new one. That would be an option. The other option is do what they did. Offload anything you don't need into the vehicle and anything for the mission put on your back. And that ended up with this critical situation where he was like this and barely moving. It was quite slow paced. You could see it. Oh my God. Anyway, but that's the beauty of Death Stranding, I think. It's all about the tactical nuance to it and the I just think that isolation really, and it's just make it it's literally you're free to get to where you need to go in your own choice of way of doing it. You could use ladders, you can use ropes, you can and you can find anything else, and hopefully, and as you progress, you'll get more opportunities anyway. So there'll be more tech, there'll be more vehicles, and it just expands the way you can actually achieve your goals. But either way, even if you've got vehicles, it's not always going to be as straightforward. Like, let's say you come up against some sort of like cliff mountain, you might have to just ditch your vehicle because you can't get the rest of the way realistically over that obstacle. So there's going to be there'll be ways to stop you from using it all the time. And there might be things you need to obviously achieve the goal anyway. Like you might find there's a limited range initially with a motorbike or a vehicle, any vehicle, so you can't go extended distances until you can upgrade to a better vehicle. So there's always like limits, or you've got more charge points along the way. So it forces you to keep upgrading. So you can't just like run ahead of the game. But anyway, yeah, it's in my wheelhouse, and I love the fact that some people just create these masterpieces that are unique and they don't follow trends because it makes them unique, And the fact they've come out and done another Death Stranding, I just think it's great. So it's something for me to look forward to. And the fact that all the reviews are coming in saying how great this is, it's like, oh, thank God for that, But hopefully more people like it and we start seeing more of them as well because it deserves praise. Maybe I think people, because of the reaction this one's got, maybe people might go in and appreciate the first one more. Like a lot of people, when Red Dead Redemption 2 came out, they didn't like it. When Red Dead Redemption 2 came out, a lot of people absolutely hated it. It wasn't widely accepted. Red Dead Redemption 2 wasn't. Now people absolutely love it because they recognise how beautiful the landscape is, the story, everything about it, because people have showcased it a lot more since. But when it first came out, loads of people said it was terrible, absolutely terrible. They couldn't get past because the opening scene was boring. It was like 2 or 3 hours of being in the snow. It was very limited. It was very slow paced. You had to follow the story. You couldn't skip anything. And if you go back to try and play it, it's horrible. The first 2 or 3 hours is, and people couldn't get past the first 2 or 3 hours. And like I said, that game is split up into chapters. So as soon as you move from one location, it's really hard to go back to that moment. So it's like almost like don't progress until you're ready to progress. Whereas Red Dead Redemption, I felt the first one I felt was more open. You know, it wasn't split up in chapters like that, at least from my memory. So that's why I prefer the first one. But I do love Red Dead Redemption 2. And when you go out on the like especially ultra wide on PC, it's beautiful. But there's a lot of games, you know, so it's not a case of like one. I can't really pick one game over others. It's hard. I mean, I've tried to do my top 5 there, but it doesn't minimize any of the others. And anything that I've missed here is not going to minimize. You know, it's a ridiculous amount of games that exist that are great, and they're not all going to be in the same genre. So it's just, I think when you think about your favorite, like absolute favorite games, you might notice a trend. That's what I'm getting at. You know, that trend there, I just think, okay, the fact that I like Death Stranding, it's hardly surprising. I love Alan Wake, and then and then you start thinking they're similar in their own unique way. There's similarities, you know, and then Days Gone is very similar to The Last of Us. So, anyway, yeah, I'm excited for Death Stranding 2, and it's one of those where I would pay. It's a bit like Red Dead Redemption 3. If that come out, I'll pay the full price for that. Last of Us 3 comes out, I'll pay the full price. Even though I've still got to finish the second one, I'll still jump on it day one. I think there's certain games that are worth the price. There's other games that I think are just taking the piss, to be totally honest. I think they're jumping on bandwagons thinking they can fill the void. When you'll finish that game, you'll buy that game. It's like that game is not to the same standards as that game, so let's not play that. So there's going to be some people that will pay top price for some games, but then other games you're going to wait for a sale. But I think some of these companies seem to think people are just naturally going to pay all these prices when they haven't produced the same product of quality, you know. And I think they'll find the hard way that people are just not prepared to pay it. But they do it anyway for the first people to buy things, and then they wait. They probably don't mind the fact that people don't buy it all at day one. They just want to get the first people to just throw money at them. But these games for me are worth absolute price. You might notice a couple of missions here. One, I absolutely love Skyrim for a long time, but I have a hard time going back to play. It hasn't dated very well, Skyrim, in my opinion. And The Witcher 3, I'd never finished it. I start liking it 1 minute, then I find I get bored. If I ever finish The Witcher 3, then it could end up on this list. And I know some people absolutely live by it and they love it, but I haven't found it as fun. But yeah, that's my take on gaming.